by simply having a system, and that's what today is really about, is we're going to talk about a system on how to understand and read people better. Some of you are familiar with this, some of you have heard this before, but I find that after even 15 years of using this particular tool that we use it extensively in our coaching. Some of you heard me present, we just did it with the C-Cut team last week, they're a team of lawyers. No matter how many times I hear this information and dive into this information, I learn something new and valuable that can help me better connect with people. The system helps me get a better result faster. I can connect, gain trust, understand where they're coming from. It's really about understanding where your audience is, who you're trying to communicate to, and adjusting accordingly. Right? So let's talk about one of my favorite topics, DiSC. DiSC is as old as human civilization. Not necessarily as a science, but you can go back to the ancient Greeks, Chinese, Egyptians, Romans, and all of them had a way of actually describing human behavior in 4 different quadrants. Okay? 4 elements is actually another attempt to explain a human behavior. So it's as old as man. Trying to understand why do people do what they do, why do they behave a certain way, and why do they communicate a certain way. DiSC helps us understand that. This particular tool, DiSC became a science in the early 1920s. With all this centuries-old stuff, people actually started to study it. By the 1940s, the first assessment of its kind emerged, and it's been used ever since with millions of people around the world. And because of the advanced science and the number of people who have gone through it, they keep pushing the science. We're talking this thing is like 90% accurate in 97% of the population. In all the days and years, actually days, in all the 2 hours I've been using this tool, in all the years I've been using this tool, I've yet to have one person push it back across the desk and say, it's not me at all. Usually the response is what, Kurt? Holy shit. How'd you do that? Yeah. Answer a few questions, we're able to predict the behavior that you will have. Okay? It's really about that. It's about defining your observable behavior, what we can expect to see given the quadrant that you find yourself in. It's a neutral language. It doesn't measure your values, doesn't measure your intelligence, doesn't measure your experience. It measures your behavioral preference. Where do you like to lean more than the other places? Important to know as we're going to dive into this, all of us are a mixture of all 4 of these. Right? None of us are like just one and none of the others. We just tend to lean more heavily into one of them with a strong second place. Right? And we incorporate a little bit more of the other 2. All right? But we tend to really focus in one area. Because of how accurate this tool is, knowing many of you, I know you well enough, and those of you that have just gotten to know and are recently, I try to hone my skills at reading people so I can predict how you will behave in conflict. I can predict how you will behave in a stressful situation, how you'll handle stress, how you'll handle anxiety, how you'll handle meeting new people. And as a result, I can adjust accordingly and help you through that. So it's a very, very powerful